saying hello again today on July the 17th, 2010 with Thomas Wilson, co-proprietor of the Spirit Tree Estate Cidery, basically outside of Brampton in the town of Cheltenham, part of the Caledon Region, and you've created a wonderful destination here with your baked goods, your cider, your organic products, all sorts of preserves and dipping oils and tasting for the cider. But what's really interesting is there's a whole other element to this business, and that's the environmentally friendly building construction and eco-friendly techniques that you've used here. So tell me a little bit about this room.
Sure. This is the maintenance room in the cellar where we maintain our geothermal system. So this is a heat pump that is pumping through these two hoses. They leave the facility and go out underground. They're 8 feet underground. There's about 3,200 feet of hose that's been buried. We're lucky enough to be on a site that is, the soil type is very heavy. It's a heavy clay type of soil, which is very energy efficient for this type of geothermal system. So the pipes are filled with an ethanol alcohol, and that allows us to then send heat out of the building and then also draw back that heat depending on the time of year.
So it works both ways, for either cooling or for heating.
That's right.
Because the heating in the ground is permanently, what, at 9 degrees or something like that?
I believe that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's just a fascinating topic.
That moderating temperature that then the system can use to then transfer heat.
Exactly.
So it's only these two little pumps that are used to move the fluids, one pushing and one bringing the fluid back in. It then circulates into the heat exchanger.
So this is not as large as I thought it would be.
No, and then it's just a fan. So the only thing running electrically are those two pumps and a circulation fan, and it's blowing through a heat exchanger. And right now it's taking the heat out of the air, out of the building, and sending it out to the bed.
Exactly.
And so then it's blowing coolness, cold, back into the facility to air condition our room. And winter, the system reverses itself and it starts drawing that heat out of the ground and forcing hot air into the building to then heat us.
Now, what happens in the spring when the outside temperature is roughly the same as the ground temperature?
It's fine. The system still works, but we don't really need it. The straw bale construction of our facility is very insulating, so the facility by itself actually looks after it.
So straw bale construction, I was reading some articles about that topic actually. It's a very ancient building material.
That's right. It was when North America was first being settled, settlers, you had to use whatever was at hand to construct your first buildings. So it was the timber you were removing from the land, or it was the sod, especially out west. A lot of houses were built out of the sod they were plowing out of the ground. They would just lay it out and build a small shack till they had the time and the labor to construct a more formal home. And one of the other products they used was the straw they were cutting to take their crops off.
Exactly.
They would actually build buildings, build walls out of it, and then covered in mud, and that was their
And I think that's more or less what you did,
that's
right?
More or less what we have here. We have walls that are just stacked straw bales. It was harvested and baled
locally, right?
Down the road.
Yeah.
It was literally grown, harvested, then brought here. We built our walls with the straw bales, which then covered in a mesh, and a few coats of a concrete stucco are applied over the bales, and it becomes a concrete insulated wall.
Right. And it's tremendously energy efficient because I guess the airspace within the straw is a great insulator.
Yeah.
And it's a natural product. It's renewable.
That's right.
It's local. What a great way of building.
We grew, and basically locally our building product was grown.
That's right. Exactly.
Within 1 year.
Yeah. It's amazing. Wonderful. Well, thank you for introducing me to the technology behind your building. That's another important component here at your cidery. Thank you, Thomas.